Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Brandon, and I play guitar here in Nashville. And, well, I just wanted to come on here and talk to you about a few things. So, really, it kind of has to do with a video I made, oh gosh, about maybe 6 months ago. It was a worship tutorial video, and it got like 30,000 views and like 200 and something comments. I don't know. It was, thank you all for watching that, by the way. But anyway, in that video, I used my Fractal FM9 in there, and I had a lot of comments on there about questions on tone and what I do to dial in my tone. And I wanted to answer a lot of those, but a lot of things have changed since then. One of the biggest things is I actually do not have the Fractal anymore. I don't have anything digital, actually. I went back to using all real amps, even at church using real amps. Yeah, I actually traded my Fractal for this hand-wired deluxe reverb. It's a really good trade on that. But let's see. Well, I think the only thing digital I have is on my pedal board. I have my HX effects, and then this Marshall is actually currently running through my Universal Audio aux box. But other than that, I don't own any modelers whatsoever. Which I know that's kind of a surprise in 2026 that everybody's doing the modelers, and I did the complete opposite. I just kind of thought it'd be kind of interesting to talk about why I chose to do that. Also, I kind of wanted to mention that I'm not planning on editing this video. It's just going to kind of be off the cuff. So I wanted it to kind of be like just, us just sitting here in my room talking about guitar gear. So I may ramble a little bit, but just it is what it is. If you don't like it, just hit skip or fast forward. But hey, I just want to be real with you guys. But alright, so when I got the Fractal, at first I was like, man, this is really awesome. And the first thing I did was I put in a Princeton patch, and I tried getting it to sound as close as I could to my actual real Princeton right here. And at first I was like, man, this is really close. Like, this is awesome. But as my ears started adjusting, I started realizing that I was spending a lot of time on my computer trying to tweak and EQ and do this, that, and the other, because I was like, oh, there's just something there that my ear's not catching that the real thing does or whatever. And honestly, what it really comes down to was I don't use a whole bunch of gear. Like, I like old Marshalls, and I like old Fenders, and like old Vox amps or matchless amps, and that's pretty well it. And it's like, instead of trying to tweak on a piece of gear, like, I can just take a cable and go, there's my tone. Like, that is my tone. So why am I trying to replicate it from something that's trying to pretend to be that when it's not? Like, I don't need something to try to emulate the real deal when I already have the real deal. But also I have a way of cranking real amps to full volume, so I guess that's not really an issue for me. But for me, I kind of realized that when the newness kind of wore off, that I started noticing a bunch of flaws with all the modelers. I don't want to rag on them, because I think that modelers have their place, and I think that they're great, but it's just like a tool, just like a computer, like our cars, like our cell phones, whatever it can be. They're all tools, but we as human beings, we like to try to overuse technology to a point to where it becomes a burden instead of being a tool. And I think that's what we've done with modelers. I think they have their place, but I don't think they'll ever replace a real amp. I don't think that they were really ever intended to replace a real amp. And I'm coming from a place to where I like old guitars. I have a bunch of custom shop, like high-end custom shop guitars that feel and sound like old guitars. I also own a few actual vintage guitars, and I kind of live in that world to where I play. I like the sound of old tube amps and the way they get pushed when I push in a guitar, the way that the tubes sag and they kind of get those sweet harmonics that roll under there. And I noticed with the Fractal, it's really good at high gain stuff and it's really good at cleans. But even when you try to push in on an amp and you try to drive, it would have, you can kind of hear like it's a bunch of ones and zeros trying to emulate, and it's like I don't really know what to do here. And it kind of freaks out. And at least that's for me, in my opinion. So I remember when the Kemper came out like 10 years ago, that everyone was sitting there A-Bing the Kemper to the real amp, and they're like, you can't hear the difference. Well, I would challenge all of you guys to go listen to a record that has the Kemper on there, and then listen to. Actually, go do this. Here's a good example. So Michael Britt from Lone Star, he makes all the Kemper profiles for the Kemper, and go listen to the old Lone Star records, and then go listen to the new ones with the Kemper, and you're gonna notice on all those records. Listen for it. There is something like a flubbiness in the low end. And when I first heard it, I didn't even really catch that it was the guitars. And then I started noticing more and more records that I heard with a Kemper on there. I was like, there it is again. And I started realizing it was the guitars, it's the Kemper. Now, if I go to a concert, even in an arena, where this is a big thing, people are like, oh, you can't tell the difference live in the mix. I beg the difference. They stand out even more so in a mix, because when there's something about a real speaker, and not even so much with the tubes. Now, I will argue that there's a top end of the mids that kind of push through the mix, and people say, oh, well, you can EQ those in on a modeler and this, that, and the other. Maybe, but also I want to play guitar. I don't want to sit here trying to EQ and geek out. I'm not an IT guy. I play guitar. I like to make art, and I just want to take a cable, stick it into the front of the amp, and be like, there's my tone. I don't want to try to dive into something and try to EQ it to death to try to sound like that. Like, I don't want to spend my time doing that. And there's something about a speaker with a microphone in front of that has pressure, and that pressure from the air pumping into the front of the microphone that just helps amplify you into the front. And I'm not talking about being louder. It's just more of it's like an energy, if that makes sense, that you can just feel the guitars, even if the guitars are off stage, like in an ISO cab backstage or facing the back, and you're not. It's just literally the air being pushed into a real microphone that just does something in a mix that cannot be replaced. And the other really big thing for me too is, yes, I mean, you can get the sound of any real amp with a modeler, I guess, if you want to work hard enough on there. But no two Marshall amps sound the same. No two deluxe reverbs sound the same. No two AC30s sound the same. And for me as a player, sometimes I plug into something different because I want to feel something that inspires me as a player to play something different. And it's not so much that, oh, I need this exact tone, I need to match it. And if that's what you're going after, that's great. The modelers get you really close. But for me, as a player that's trying to make music and make art, a lot of times it's, a different guitar or a different amp or a different whatever does something different. Like the way that it feels, the way it reacts to the way I play, the sounds that I hear, it inspires me to do something different that I maybe wouldn't have done through something else. And with a modeler, it's just kind of like, oh, there's your patch, and I don't really want to change something because I'm going to have to like re-EQ the death out of it to try to get it to sound decent. And it's like I just want to be able to plug in and feel inspired to make music. And that's really what it comes down to for me is I didn't feel inspired. I kind of felt like I was walked into here's a sound that I know will work and I don't want to change it. So I'm not going to mess with it. To where I mean, these two amps sound really different, but they both sound great. I can put either one of those on a record and I know that they're going to sound good and they're going to allow me to get paid. But they're going to the both of them do something different. They make me play different. The record might sound different or whatever, the parts that I come up with because they inspire me to do something different. So that I don't know, that's just kind of where I came from to if you don't I fully understand where if you don't have a bunch of real amplifiers to where the modelers are great or if you're going into arena tour and you just want your specific tone in that arena that yeah, the modelers have a place. But even then I would argue if I go to a concert I can tell you within the first 30 seconds if there's a Kemper being used on stage because there is a flubbiness in the low end that is just indistinguishably Kemper. And the Fractal, they have a high end fizziness, and it's not like the fizz that's on the top end of a Marshall. It's like that digital analysis of it trying to do something and it doesn't know what to do, and it just sounds like crap. And I mean, yeah, I guess if I worked hard enough, I could have EQ'd it out, but I wanted to play guitar. I didn't want to sit there trying to fix something when the solution is like, here's the real deal. Like, I didn't need something trying to be something that it's not. And I think all the modelers are great, but they all have their flaws. And I think we've come to the point of they're close enough that we're willing to sacrifice and live with the flaws. But for me, I'm always chasing that top 5%, that last 5%. I don't want to sacrifice. And I just don't feel like they're a replacement for real amps, at least not yet. And I don't know if there will ever be a replacement for them because it's like an acoustic guitar. An electric guitar, it was supposed to be a replacement for an acoustic guitar. But they ended up doing something completely different. So now we have both. And I feel like that's the way with modelers. They do something different, and it's not better or worse, but it's just different. But for me, I don't like that change. I still like what I get with an old piece of seasoned wood through a transformer and tubes that are reacting to the way that I play and are making me feel and are inspiring me to play a certain way. The other issue I ran into with the Fractal 2 was I did not think that it took pedals well, but they don't take pedals like a real amp. Especially like when I put like my Lightspeed or my Nobles in front of it, it didn't push it like it did a real amp. To where these pedals sound like just more of the real amp. Like it's like an amp plus. But with the Fractal, it literally changed the tone. It sounded completely different. And I didn't like that. It didn't sound like the pedal. And that was the thing where I got to the point I was like, maybe I'll use it for the amp modeling and run my pedal board in front of it. But then I got to the point where I was almost having to carry two pedal boards. And I'm like, at this point, it's easier just to go back to taking my actual amp and my pedal board. I can carry one in one hand and the other in another hand, my guitar and a gig bag on my back, and off we go. And I don't have to worry about, oh, wait, this tone doesn't work and I got to grab my computer and try to tweak it or whatever. If I need to tweak something, I'm like, here's my knob, I can turn it, and there we go. But anyway, I think I rambled on long enough about all of this. And again, I just got tired of tweaking. I just wanted to play guitar and I wanted to feel inspired to make art. And I didn't want to make any sacrifices. I wanted something that sounded real and I wanted authentic. And I get that with real amps. But, and I'm not saying that and I'm not saying that's for everybody. Like, I understand if you can't afford to have a bunch of real amps, or if you don't have a way of cranking them to where they sound good, the modelers are a great alternative. And I'm glad we live in an era to where we have that ability, we have that option to where, you can, the cost of emission is a lot lower than what it used to be. And that's phenomenal. That's fantastic. But for me, having a bunch of real amps, I just didn't feel, why was I trying to make an emulation of something I already have. So that's what it came down to. But anyway, I did want to talk to you guys about something real quick. That, yeah, I've been kind of lacking on videos, and the reason for that is because I've actually been out on tour this year, which has been really cool. But I've been thinking about making some daily vlogs of me being out on the road. But to be honest with you, it's kind of like uncomfortable for me, like being in front of a camera. Like, this is fine because I'm in my studio. It's just me by myself talking to you across the camera. And if I don't like it, I can just redo the video. But when you're kind of out on the road with a camera in front of you, it's kind of a little bit more vulnerable, I guess you could say, and a little bit more raw and real. And there's no retakes. Which is kind of why I'm doing this video. But anyway, I don't know. I think that might be kind of cool. Do you guys want to see that? Do you want to see some footage of me being out on the road? I'm actually leaving the day to go out to Texas for some gigs. So yeah, let me know if you want to see that, and I'll make some vlogs of me being on the road touring, and if that's something you want to see. But anyway, I got to get back to work, and I got to get ready to head out to Texas. And I've kept you all long enough. So thank you for staying in tune and watching this. Hopefully you got some good information from it and you learned something. But anyway, I'll let you all go. Take care. Have a good day.